Sugar?
Water, hops, alcohol.
You probably have to ask her. I don't know much about.
So beer is made of 4 main ingredients. You have malted barley, you have water, you have hops, and you have yeast. I've been a home brewer now for about 8 years or so, give or take, and I'm also the current president of one of Sacramento's largest homebrew clubs, the Greenbelt Brewers Association.
You can hear my voice, clap 2 times. You can hear my voice, clap 3 times.
I would say homebrewing is the act of brewing your own beer at your house and
I'll take this. Okay, so purpose of home brewing, it would be just to have a full control over what you're putting in, whether it's having more pure ingredients. A lot of people are making the switch to organics. It's also just being able to experiment with flavors and have fun with it, just like any other craft.
I went off of a book that was very, very basic. Didn't go into great detail on a lot of it, but I think you'll find that you want to really start kind of learning about it. Just in the last 4 years, there's been individual books written on water, on hops, on yeast, and on malt. And each book is, 300 pages just talking about that for a home brewer, not even for a professional brewer. So there's quite a bit of technical information out there.
For me, I guess where it started was in my biology class. We made root beer, and we essentially just took the sugars and we added yeast to that, and then we got to try it a few weeks later. And for me, that was a very engaging experience, and I thought it was a very fun process, even though it was kind of simple, but it's pretty in-depth at the same time.
I'd say we'd had enough knowledge of how to open a beer bottle 50 different ways.
Some guys are really into it about the recipe formulation and about the hop utilization, but some guys, myself included, really kind of geek out on just the gadgetry of it, if you will. Because my hobby has always been working on cars and cooking, this kind of translates over from the working on cars, the hands-on, the mechanically designing things. That's one of the things that draws me to the hobby, is not only that I produce good recipes, but it's also a way for me to constantly be looking at what can I do differently on my brewery. I have this one All Simcoe IPA, and when I drink it, I may say, okay, this is really good, and I might want to make it drier the next time, or I might want it to be a little bit more hop aroma on the nose when you're drinking it, or possibly maybe make it a little bit less bitter. Just being able to kind of know that you're connected to something that's so rooted in the past, and especially when you start brewing some of these styles that may not be super popular, it's kind of neat.
So we are currently working on a smoked vanilla bean bourbon porter. We like experimenting. We've done a lot of IPAs, but they taste very similar to us. So for us, a porter was something completely out of our realm of comfort, and that's what we like, is pushing the limits.
I think the other thing that's really cool about the homebrewing community right now is that it's becoming more widely accepted, it's becoming a bigger hobby, and with some of the current legislation, there's a lot more potential to do a lot more with the homebrewing community. For example, Assembly Bill 2609 was just passed, where now, as homebrewers, we can start submitting our beers to charitable organizations, whether it be for autism or for prostate research. There's that, and I think that there's going to be more laws coming down the line that will help allow for more community involvement and community support from the homebrewing community.
Cheers, guys.
We just like having social gatherings and letting people try our beer, see what they think of it, let us know potential wrongdoings that we have done with the beer and how to correct it. So we have a little bit that we keep for ourselves, but for the most part, we like to share with everybody and experience it as a group.
I also think it takes the bias out of the situation as well. If you have other people with different palates try your beer and they give you honest feedback with it, I think that's pretty important for developing certain recipes. Of course, we're gonna make a beer and be like, oh, that's so good, after we waited 3 or 4 weeks for the beer to actually mature enough to drink. So I think it's pretty important to have that control group of your friends enjoying what you've made.
It's really an enjoyable hobby that gives you awesome returns, because at the end of the day, even if you make a bad beer, it's still beer.